Peace. So I know I did not get to do a video yesterday. My back has, yeah, it's been tripping probably for about a good, ever since I was in California. I think it's been about 5 months now. And yeah, I think it's because I was just driving and driving and driving. And one thing about me, I always just want to get to my destination. So I don't really like stop and stretch and do all that. So my lower back, and I feel like I had like a pinched nerve or whatever. So I bought me this roller, like the fascia roller, and I've been using that for like the last 3 days. Oh my gosh, can I just recommend that you guys get a roller for your fascia? I'm just really starting to get into the fascia and just kind of releasing, you know, all of that tissue that's just built up and, you know, that we hold on to. Our bodies hold on to a lot of information. Our bodies hold on to stress. It holds on to memory of traumas that we may have experienced. And so it's good to just roll your body on this thing. And let me tell you, you will begin to take deep breaths, because when you take a deep breath or when you swallow, that means that your body is releasing the tension. And within the last two or 3 days since I've been using it, my back feels so much better. I honestly think what happened is that I was sitting for so long that my discs in my spine, especially my lower spine, were compressed from sitting for so long and traveling for so long and not doing the proper stretching, that they were just compressed for so long. So now what I do is I do that. I'm getting back on my yoga game to kind of stretch out my body. And then I will hold on to my countertop there and push my ass back and stretch out my spine. And I have seen improvement within the last 3 days. So if anybody's having back issues, this is not what this video is about, but we all go through this shit because we think that life is just this journey that we're on, but the physical body also holds on to information, and you have to be gentle, but yet also make sure that you're taking the time to release a lot of the shit that, you know, your body's warning you that it needs assistance with. And we'll just kind of like disregard it. Alexa, put the music down. So yeah, so that's that. So yesterday I just wasn't feeling the vibe whatsoever. Today, let's talk about living by design or living by default, and how you can tell the difference, okay? First, we're gonna start out with the left and right hemisphere of the brain. Let's start there. I put these little nuggets in my videos, but I don't really expound sometimes on them, and I think this is important to expound on. It's just been on my brain to do that. Let me get here so you guys can see a little more light. So the right side, this is my right side, controls the left. The left side controls the right. When we are in school, we are taught to write with our right hand, which is usually our dominant hand, because it correlates with the left hemisphere of our brain, which is logic, all right? It teaches us our survival logic. It's what we consider more of the masculine energy of ourselves. When you're able to write with your right hand, then, or making this your more dominant hand, you now have to start activating your creativity side, which is what we consider the right side, which is more considered the feminine energy, all right? When we are in school, they teach us to write with our right hands because the left is more dominant, so it makes us more logical in this life. And when you live your life with logic, you become less creative, and when you become less creative, you become more dependent on logic, getting a full-time job, going out there, you know, having to feel like you need to do that, to where when you're in your creative energy, you can actually start creating with your hands, making a business, depending on yourself, and making beautiful whatever it is that you want to make, whether it's art, whether it's canvases, whether it's painting, whether it's music. And the more that you're able to tap into the right hemisphere of the brain, you become less dependent, I feel, on the external things that we're constantly trying to force, and you become more creative within your being. And then that way your creativity can be sold and you're in your passion, right? So for me, I feel that there is a sweet balance between both of them, but I would prefer to be more on the right side of my hemisphere and use the left side when I need it. Unfortunately, because of how we were raised, logic takes the forefront and the creativity is usually takes the back seat. But the beautiful thing about this life is that nothing is ever remaining the same. Everything is changing and we always have choices. So what I always like to recommend is whatever you do with your right hand, if that's your dominant side, do everything with your left hand. Just even try to write, and you are going to see how the right side of yourself, the right hemisphere of the brain, is trying to activate itself, but it's not quite there yet. So anything that you do, of course you can't write if you're like in a business with your left hand trying to activate the right, because the shit's just not gonna look good. It's gonna look like you literally just went to preschool and it's just not happening, okay? So the more that you tap into the left hand, right, to activate the right, then the neurons within your right have to begin to be dominant, because you are telling it that it needs to be the dominant aspect of your being. And the more that you do that, repetition is the mother of learning. So the more that you do that, the more that you engage the right hemisphere of the brain, then you open up avenues and you open up portals within yourself that have been locked, because we constantly use the dominant aspect of ourselves. We constantly use the part of ourselves. We use the subconscious aspect of ourselves that's always on a program, right? So the thing about this life is being able to decondition yourself in order to condition yourself into a reality that you really see for yourself, you know? And everything to me in this life has to do with the subconscious mind, and it has to do with the brain, you know, activating certain aspects of it. That's where it all comes from. That's where all the memories comes from. That's where all the program comes from. The body responds to this, you know, our thoughts respond to this. So that's why, you know, the scripture always says what's done in the dark comes out to light, because what's done in the dark is your thought process. You know what I'm saying? And it has to come into light, because now you've created a thought into a material world where now your senses can, you know, experience what it is that you've done in the darkness, right? So anybody who tries to manipulate or think that they're hiding, it's not. Eventually it's all gonna come out. You know what I'm saying? That's why people get caught. So you're not really tricking anybody, you're just tricking yourself. So that's that part, to kind of like break that shit down. So whatever you guys do that you usually do with your right, I ask you to always do it with your left and begin to activate the more creative energy within yourself. And then your body's going to start maneuvering aspects. You're going to have different interests now, because you're unlocking, which you are the key, you're unlocking a part of you that has been waiting to bloom and to be opened. And yeah, so that's that. So once you begin to do that, creating by design now is all about creating with intentions, right? Creating by default is the programmed self that comes with the subconscious mind, that we think we just are on automatic pilot all the time, and it's the end all be all, and this is who I am, and there is no changing this, which is false. That's just a false narrative. You don't need to be speaking that narrative, because we are creators. We are limitless beings. We are infinite beings with limitless possibilities. So creating by design now is being very intentional with how you maneuver yourself through your reality. The first things that you think about when you wake up in the morning, how your thought forms are throughout the day, realizing and kind of stepping outside of the physical realm of yourself and being the observer of your thoughts, emotions, things that you're inviting into your world, things that you're giving permission to invite into your world that you no longer want to subscribe to, and you don't have to subscribe to it. The only reason why things exist in our lives is because we've given it permission to exist. So just as you've given it permission to exist, you can also tell that bitch to leave. All right? And how you get there is, like I had mentioned, being very intentional and watching, you know, who you are in this moment. Because who you are in this moment is your past, it is your present, and it's also your future. And I say this because every experience that you had from the past has put you into this position that you're currently in, that's allowing you to listen to this message. If you pause for a minute and be the center of your cipher and look around you, these were all thought forms from your past. In the present moment is you here listening to me and, you know, being able to be present. And then your future is now you being very intentional and living by design and creating an aspect for yourself that is correlating with the universe, where now you guys are married into wanting to, you know, fabricate a new reality for yourself, your future self, you know. And, you know, we really do exist in different dimensions, you know, and I think we often forget that. And, you know, the more that you can be able to speak to yourself and, you know, visualize your future self, however that looks, then the closer you get connected to that experience and that thing, you know. But if you're sitting back and you're in the victim mentality and things aren't working out for me, and, you know, they did this to me and my parents did this to me, and you keep subscribing to that story, you know, which is really the past that you're still holding on to, then, I mean, what do you expect of what you're going to experience? You know, you keep telling that same program. So, you know, that's where creating by design comes in, is when you become very observant of the present moment and all that you are, and begin to move in a fashion that, you know, has a different identity, has a different personality, because your personality creates a personal reality, all right? And so when you're able to recognize this, then you just begin to align yourself to beautiful experiences. You know, everything begins to land in your lap. And, you know, not to say that you don't have your part in doing things, but I also feel like we move through this reality and this dense reality with heaviness and force, and we don't allow ourselves to just flow, you know, through this experience. And I think most of our work is done internal, because, you know, as within, so without. You know, everything external is a reflection of all that you are. And so it's not to say that we don't have physical things that we need to do, but we also have choices to put ourselves in spaces that are going to lead us into a new, you know, chapter of ourselves, or even a new book. You know, I'm always like, burn that shit. Don't even add another chapter to what I was doing. Like, I'm creating a whole new book with different characters and different narratives and a different storyline. You know what I'm saying? And why would I want to keep adding chapters to an old fucking book? Like, no, I'm burning that shit to ashes, you know? So yeah, this is, I think this is important. This is what I do for myself every day. You know, as you guys can hear, I have like solfeggio binaural beats playing in the back when I wake up. I light a copal incense, which I bought from Mexico. And so it's just all about creating an environment that you live in that also represents yourself, that is your sacred space, you know, because this is where, you know, you do most of your work. And if this area, specifically wherever you live, is chaotic, which is usually a reflection of what's going on in here, then how can you possibly even begin to create something out of nothing? That, no, it is something, but how are you going to begin to create something new when you yourself aren't clear within yourself? You know, that's why when you pay attention to people's cars or pay attention to people's homes, you'll notice that when it's full of shit, their mind is just full of shit, you know? They got a lot going on. And so it's about clearing out, you know, these things. That's why when you clear out your space in your home, you clean things up, you get rid of the dust, you're able to breathe again. The energy in the room feels lighter. You know, so everything you do should have intentions. Everything you do, every place you walk in should be your energy. You get to change the frequency of whatever energy and space that you are in, you know, but sometimes we don't trust ourselves and we don't believe this because we weren't taught this, you know, but guess what? Here we are, you know, here I am having a conversation about it. Do you think I knew that I was going to be this person so deep into this journey of mine and honoring it and loving myself again? Hell no, I didn't think that. You know, and here you are. This video met you. You know, you're listening to this and you're engaging and, you know, you're feeling it for those who it's meant for. You know, so you didn't expect to be here in this moment, you know? So anyways, y'all, I am going to finish getting myself together and feed my kitty cat. And yeah, I just wanted to leave this jewel with you. Know that you are worthy. Again, know that you are an infinite being with limitless possibilities, and anything that you need to do within your cipher for yourself has to begin here and has to begin from your heart space. Live with integrity. All right? Peace. I'm lost.